What a waste of time. What a complete 3.5 hours gone like that. The Jets are smoked by the division rival Miami Dolphins on primetime football in front of everybody. Oh, we only lost by one possession. It doesn't matter. If you watched that game, you saw the amount of mistakes, the amount of deficiencies, the amount of issues, the straight up ineptitude with this football team. You know what I find very alarming is the fact that we're a month into the season and the Jets are not better in one single category than they were a month ago. Not one. Not one. Nick Folk maybe, but we are actually horrible. This, and look, no one expected this Jets team to make the playoffs, right? Obviously not. No one expected, the Justin Fields MVP and this defense to be top three or anything. But I think a lot of fans were just expecting competent football, right? Can we get rid of the Jets did a great job by getting rid of like a lot of the dysfunction that was in the locker room from a year ago. And obviously this is not, this overnight fix here, but oh my, like this, it's just problem after problem after problem after problem with this football team. And I don't understand how we aren't showing growth. And look, it's not week 10, week 11, but I don't care. We're a month into the season. We are playing the winless Miami Dolphins that have a myriad of different issues, offensively, defensively, time of possession issues, coaching issues, buy-in issues, turnover issues. The Jets ran more plays. The Jets had more yards. The Jets were the better rushing team. The Jets, I believe, had more drives. Let me actually double check that. Yes, they did. The Jets had 10 drives. The Dolphins had 9. The Jets were better on third downs. The Jets were better through the air, right? Fields had more passing yards than Tua. He was more efficient than Tua. The Jets averaged more yards per play than this Dolphins team because the Jets shot themselves in the foot over and over and over and over and over again. 13 penalties. 13 freaking penalties for over 100 yards. That is a free football field. Think about that. That is a free football field of yardage that you are giving an opponent. Now, to be fair, I didn't really agree with a lot of the calls, especially in the second half, but it's week after week. The Jets finding themselves in bad situations, finding ways to lose games continues to pop up. It was a big problem last season. It was a big problem the season before that. It continues to be a problem this year as we're sitting here right now as an 0-4 football team. Now, look, I didn't expect the Jets to be 11 wins, 10 wins or anything. I only had the Jets at 6 wins this season. That, of course, is still doable. But to be sitting here right now as an 0-4 football team with zero signs of growth, I find very, very alarming. The other massive takeaway from tonight's game, the turnovers. The Jets had 3. Did the Jets have any takeaways on the defensive side of the football? Were they able to force the turnover? No. What a surprise, right? Another week goes by with 0 turnovers or 0 takeaways rather on this Jets defense. I do not understand it, but I gotta be honest. It wasn't really the flags. It wasn't really the turnovers that drove me absolutely crazy. Yeah, that stuff really pissed me off, but I think the main problem, which has been a problem in every single game that the Jets have played this season, has been the pass coverage. Why on earth is the pass coverage this bad? Sauce Gardner is the highest paid corner in the National Football League, and he looks completely replaceable. Just name a corner in football, plug him, Madden's trade, right? Gardner take any other corner on any other team, and you feel like you're going to get the same production. Why is that the case? Michael Carter, what has happened there in the slot? The Jets over the middle of the field are horrendous. It is abysmal. The slot coverage for this Jets defense, it needs to change, man. I can't even believe what I'm seeing over the middle of the field. Right, so Gardner's not playing up to the deal. Michael Carter is he's been a complete liability. By the way, he got hurt tonight. Oh my God. You have Brandon Stevens on the outside, who surprisingly made a couple plays tonight. So, to be frank, he was, in my opinion, the best corner that actually started tonight. It wasn't amazing by any means, but, I had at least a couple of plays. but it doesn't excuse the first 3 games. And then I truly cannot even talk about the safety play, right? It's late here on a Monday. I could spend 15 minutes talking about missed tackles, poor angles being taken to the football, a lack of pursuit, a lack of aggression. The Jets have the worst safety play in football right now. That's the bottom line. It is horrifying. It is horrifying. So when you combine corners that can't cover, corners that are almost slow moving, or they're like a half step behind the opposition, the wide receivers coming out of a standstill, right? Ball is snapped, the wide receivers start to move, they get a step down on the field, and now our Jets corners are starting to move, matched with poor safety play. Again, tackling, angles, pursuit, just horrible problems that are happening in the back end of this defense. And it just makes me, I'm a defensive first guy. I love defensive football. I can just go on and on talking about my favorite schemes, going, even into the college level, talking about just great defensive minds, Jim Knowles, Manny, like some of my favorite, Barry Odom, some of my favorite coaches. And it makes me sick when I watch this Jets defense, my favorite team, and it is just first round pick after first round pick after first round pick, millions of dollars spent, highest paid players, at some of the highest paid players at their position, a veteran defensive coordinator who's called tons of defenses before in the past. How is it this bad? How is it this bad? I mean, they are calling plays on the defensive side of there are moments in the first couple drives of that game where they're calling like a blitz, and I can anyone watching on television can pick up these blitzes from a mile away. For even like some of the, DBs dropping back into coverage, like Michael Carter dropping back, flying back before the ball's even snapped. Tua picks that up easily, just hits Tyreek, just easy pitch and catch. What are we doing there? What are we doing? And then if the Jets do decide to play zone coverage, again, we talked about this in the preview video, Tua, Tyreek, Waddle, Darren Waller, they're smart enough to easily find these soft spots, these pockets in zone defense, right? When you're thin at the linebacker position, when you are god-awful at safety, and you can't cover, what are the chances that Mike McDaniel, the offensive-minded head coach that he is going to have this offense in a position to have success? Was the pass rush there? No, Tua wasn't sacked one time. How's the Miami Dolphins offensive line? It's not that good. Throw on top of it, they're dealing with injuries, right? Austin Jackson, he's hurt again. No James Daniels. No sacks. Part of the reason is because Tua is able to get rid of the football so quickly. This defense is, oh my God, it just drives me up a wall. This defense drives me insane. It really does. I mean, they do the same thing over and over and over. They don't adjust. They're not trying anything new. Steelers, Bills, Bucks, down 1 million players. Miami Dolphins, the winless Dolphins that have, again, a ton of problems. The defense can't stop anybody. There is no faith in this defense to actually get a stop. The only time you kind of feel like the defense has a chance to get a stop is if the opposing offense misses a throw, or they have a boneheaded penalty, and now they're backed up 2nd and 20 or 2nd and 15. Oh my God, it is just infuriating. It is absolutely infuriating watching a defense like this. It would be one thing if we're rolling out a bunch of undrafted free agents, or you're looking at the overall talent and it's just like, okay, we don't really have a lot of dollars invested in this in this room. But yeah, it is absolutely awful. And then offensively, I mean, what is there really to say? A rookie first-year offensive coordinator, Tanner Engstrand. I think there's moments where it's just like, okay, I didn't really agree with that play call, but you look at the wide receivers, man. You look at the wide receivers. It is just like, how can you expect this dynamic passing attack when your wide receiver 2, Josh Reynolds, right, the guy that had this great training camp, the true wide receiver 2 who's finally healthy, he's giving you a whopping 0 yards tonight. What about Alan Lazard, right? He's still on this roster. He's a veteran player. Oh, 8 yards, 1 catch. So between the wide receiver 2 and the wide receiver 3, we have 8 yards. Tyler Johnson, what about him? Inactive. Tyler Johnson did not play. The Miami Dolphins defense coming into tonight was dead last in football in points per game, in opposing completion percentage. So in other words, the quarterbacks that this Dolphins defense is playing against, they are dropping back and they're completing the ball at the highest clip in the entire National Football League. Not tonight. The Dolphins defense looked great. Problems with this football team. Again, I have not watched the Aaron Glenn press conference. It is late. This video is probably going to be uploaded super late. I appreciate you guys sticking around and watching, but there are some serious freaking issues that have got to be addressed this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys. You guys are true diehard fans here. We're going to have some pretty big topics this week on the channel, asking some big questions. Are the Jets the worst team? Serious questions here, because based off of what we've seen, there's not much to write home about, not much to really get behind here, and it's very freaking alarming. Anyway, thanks so much, and as always, go Jets.